Well, 2020 started out with a bang, literally, as tensions between US and Iran have reached a boiling point. In this week's video, we're going to drop in to see how the oil markets and gold markets were affected by the events from last week, as well as recap how the markets ended 2019.
Instead of going over the weekly and year-to-date returns like we normally do, I wanted to just go over how each of the individual markets ended 2019. So first off, the S&P 500 ended 2019 up almost 29%. The Dow Jones was up over 22%. The NASDAQ, which was the strongest all year, was up over 30% in 2019. And the Russell 2000 up over 23%. Now, foreign and emerging markets also had strong years, with foreign markets up over 18% for the year, while emerging markets were up almost 16% in 2019. But it's important to note that over the last 2 years, the US markets are up over double digits, while foreign and emerging markets are only up about 5% and 1% respectively over that same 2-year time frame. We want to take a look at a chart of gold and a chart of oil today. And Matt's going to be going over the conflict in Iran later in this video, but we wanted to look at gold and oil as they were the two commodities that were affected the most last week and that may be affected the most moving forward depending on how this conflict plays out. The first chart that we're looking at is of gold. And you can see on the chart the blue line that goes right through the middle that gold broke out of a long-term resistance level in the middle of 2019. And then in the third quarter, going into the fourth quarter of last year, gold started to sell off. And you can see this at the top right of the chart. Then towards the end of last year, in the fourth quarter, gold rebounded. And especially last Friday, when gold was up over 1%. And now gold is sitting at a level that we haven't seen since 2013. Now we'll be looking at a chart of oil. And the chart of oil goes back to May of 2019. And we're currently at a 6-month resistance level on oil, right around 63. And in May of 2019, oil hit that resistance level and then dropped. In September of last year, the same thing happened. And that's currently where the price of oil is right now. In our opinion, these are the two commodities to keep the closest eye on during this conflict with Iran. And oil, obviously, because of the production in the Middle East, but also gold, because investors don't like uncertainty, and there's obviously uncertainty surrounding this situation.
Last week's news headlines were dominated by the conflict in Iran. Now, for as long as I can remember, we've been fighting with Iran, but it was taken to the next level on December 27th when missiles started flying. On that day, militias that the US military believed were backed by Iran fired missiles into a US Army base in Iraq, killing a US contractor. 2 days later, the US responded by attacking those militias that they felt were responsible. After that, on December 31st, those militias got together in protest and stormed the US Embassy. President Trump said that he would hold Iran responsible for anything that happened at our embassy. Then on January 2nd, Mark Esper, the US Secretary of Defense, said that they had intelligence that said Iran was planning future attacks. The very next day, January 3rd, the US led a military strike on Baghdad International Airport, killing General Soleimani. Most say that General Soleimani was the second most powerful person in Iran. Since then, it's just been a war of words, and Iran said that they are going to have revenge, and also went as far as putting an $80 million bounty on President Trump's head. President Trump responded by saying, "We just spent $2 trillion on new military equipment, and he has no problem delivering it over there." The other story on Friday, which was completely overshadowed by the story we just went over, was that the Fed minutes from their last meeting were released. And they stated that they're okay with a prolonged pause in rate changes. So we don't see any additional rate cuts or a rate increase in the near future. They also cited concerns about weak overall economic growth globally. And also, another concern is that the US and China have yet to sign the Phase 1 trade deal. And hopefully we'll see that deal signed very shortly.
December jobs numbers come out this Friday, but everyone's going to be paying close attention to see if there's any additional fallout between the United States and Iran.
Thanks for watching, and please share our video and subscribe to our channel.